Yeah, I'm still yet to do anything about this podcasting channel shift over. But people keep asking me about the show, and they said, "Where's it gone? Where's all the episodes?" And it's super weird, actually. I have never looked at anybody's YouTube channel ever in my short existence and gone, "Oh, where's that video that I watched of some vlog that is like 2 years old of some person doing something?" It's fucking weird. I recently cleaned up the YouTube channel. I've hired a mentor. His name's Ed. He's a gun at YouTube, and have just been playing around with some things that he suggested, just clarifying messages and making sure that the videos are all very problem solution oriented. And I think if you want to run a business, some of you guys do, some of you guys don't. If you want to run a business, the main idea is, how do I get people what they want? That's it. It's not how do I siphon money from people. It's not how do I turn this into a billion-dollar company. It literally is the foundational principle. How do I get people what they want? And you can expand that so that you can get what you want. So how do I get people what they want so I can have what I want? But I think the first initial sentence is just as good. And how do I get people what they want? End of. Because then by proxy of that, focusing on the process, you will then have what you want. And it's a nice, neat little way of looking at things. And I'm trying to focus a lot more on that recently in sense of I've been filming a lot of videos about process over prize and controllables versus uncontrollables. And I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion. And that's why I'm filming several videos about it at the moment. Because I think a lot of people just fuck it up completely. They put everything on the end goal. I heard a really good saying, I don't remember where it was from, but every time you achieve a goal, there's like a little marker on the freeway, like the mile marker. And that's how you should see it. It's not the peak of a mountain, because you would assume that then your journey is finished once you get to the top. Although at the peak of a mountain, the journey has only just been halfway completed, because you've got to descend down the other side or back where you came from. And then you've got to go down, or up rather, the bigger mountain behind it, and so on and so forth. But I really like the mile marker analogy, because you're just continuing on down the road, down the freeway, and then you pass a checkpoint. And then you go down the freeway again, you pass another checkpoint. It's not that you ever stop. It's not that you ever get to mile marker 37 and you go, "Oh, wow, I'm so fulfilled. I better just stop doing this." Because life doesn't stop. Life doesn't take a pause for you to sit there and be happy with your achievements and experience eternal bliss and just have golden light pouring through the third point, or the middle point where your third eye is, through your brain, out into the universe, and give you a big a light show, which is what most people think. What most people think, because they just don't try very hard and they don't actually focus on process over prize, which means they don't really ever get prizes, because prizes worth having, because prizes are actually really fucking easy to get. You could just walk down to any supermarket and go and get a massive chunk of dopamine via sugar or chocolate or something like that. And that's a prize. That's not hard to get. There are more difficult prizes like watches, cars, houses, successful businesses, achievements. But just because they're more difficult to obtain doesn't mean that they will be higher on the fulfillment spectrum or higher on the happiness spectrum. And I think people like to live in a reality where they believe that that's true. Well, when I get to $1 million a year, then I'll just bliss out, and it'll be like I'm on MDMA all day, every day, and complete ecstasy will come through my veins, and I'll have no problems, and blah, 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 blah. Or when I finally settle into my new house, or I get that new job, or I get the red car that I've always wanted, and so on and so forth. And it's just a big fucking lie and a trap. Because if you put prize over process, you will allow yourself to do any process to get the prize, thereby wasting a massive chunk of time of your life, because it wouldn't be something that you enjoy doing. Not that everything you do has to be enjoyable, But for the most part, I recommend that it is. That's just coming from my own personal experience. The best results I've ever gotten was from chasing something that I really, truly, genuinely enjoyed. And the worst results that I got was chasing something at the end of something I fucking desperately hated, which was working a job for other people. But you guys have heard that story numerous times. And so I think we need to get back to reversing that little analogy, process over prize versus prize over process. And you hear this conversation all the time. Like, I got a couple of people that I've met that have gone to FIFO. And if you don't know what that is, if you don't live in Australia, fly in, fly out work essentially is in the mines. The mines is the biggest industry in Australia, I believe. I think it's the biggest industry in terms of revenue. And it's very lucrative to go and work at the mines for 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off and so on and so forth. They pay you quite well for your troubles. And this seems like a pearl inside of an oyster. No. Do they come inside of oysters? They come inside of clamshells. Good job, Joshua, you fucking retard. An oyster inside of a clam. Wow, I'm having a massive brain fart. A pearl inside of a clam. And you think about it and you're like, oh, wow, that would be really great because then I'd be able to afford certain things, and not understanding that most of them are complete and utter fucking degenerates that waste all of their money on addictions and then come back and then buy a car and have nothing to show for it, which is completely retarded. You're just running on the hedonic treadmill at stage 10 instead of stage 3, where you normally would be if you were working a normal job that didn't require you to fly away from your family for every 2 weeks and go into a deep hole, literally in the ground, get vitamin D deficient, have no sunlight, have no serotonin, don't have proper dopamine structures in your brain, because it turns out that the sun is really fucking important for your circadian rhythm, which also sets up a lot of the other biological processes in your body that tend to keep you well. So, yeah, anyway, prize over process, and really it's not even a lot of money when you really break it down, to be completely honest. It's not, but putting it in that order, destroying your body, your psychology, your relationships, any real attempt at like a regular life, because your body clock's going to be all over the place. You're going to miss fuckloads of social events and engagements and weddings and baby showers and whatever, because you're going to be on like a 2 week on, 2 week off schedule. So if it falls within a fortnight where you're away, well then just get the fuck over it, I guess. And while you're on site, there's not really a lot to do because it's a very desolate, isolated place. And so there's basically beers and footy. And it's not that anything of these are inherently bad, but you start to get the picture. I've always said I'd rather earn 50 grand on my own, off my own back, working, doing something that I enjoyed, than 500 from somebody else. And these guys aren't even going away for 500 most of the time. They work crippling amounts of hours, 80 to 100 to 110 hours a week sometimes. And I think it's 157 hours a week, I'm pretty sure. That's not a lot of time left over. It's not a lot of time left over for creative pursuits, for inquisition, for reflection, for slowing down. And I think we get absorbed into this race where we've just got to push everything to the nth degree and put objects above everything. And I got a couple of mates of mine who do this in 2 different ways. There's 2 camps that I've been fortunate enough to be around with these individuals. Camp A is very much the FIFO people, the FIFO, however you want to call it, sacrificing all else to gain the prize, and have been very successful as a result of that. Has all the nice amenities and the things, and things that you guys would probably dream about having, or at least would want to trade places. And we've been over this many times, but when you're trading places with somebody for the benefits that they have, you're also completely negating the negatives and the drawbacks from their current situation of what they've had to sacrifice to gain those things. And Camp B, on the other side of the fence, are people who have got there through process. They never sacrificed their health routine. They never sacrificed their relationships. They never sacrificed the intimate connection between why they were actually doing what they were doing. And it can be done. It's significantly harder on all fronts, but it absolutely can be done. And I think, unfortunately, most people don't believe that. They see these success porn idiots on Instagram and they're like, oh, I grind every day. I work 16 hours a day every day. They don't. I guarantee you they don't. It just doesn't happen. If they can do it, they can do it for like 3-4 days straight, and then they stop and they have some reprieve, and then they go back into that cycle. And again, I know a lot of these people. I know a lot of these people would absolutely work these gooses on the internet under the table and get far better results and have higher consistency. And those people have like a 3-day hard push schedule and a 1-day off. Not like an off, but like they reduce the intensity because you can't maintain it. You literally can't. We're not born or designed to maintain computer levels of consistency, and yet that is seemingly what's expected of us from everybody else. And a nice way to illustrate this, to demonstrate this for you guys, is Amazon. Amazon has completely captured most of the e-commerce market as a result of its instantaneous purchasing process, but also its shipping capabilities. If you are a regular e-commerce brand, you can't compete with Amazon's shipping capabilities because they offer next day delivery. They also offer it for free. They also offer the buy it now button where you just click and all your details are already in there, so you don't have to re-enter them, you don't have to sign in and da-da-da-da-da. Then it's just, boom, out of sight, out of mind. And the reason you give them so much money every single year and the reason their stock just keeps going up is because they've simplified the entire process and made it extremely easy to give your money away. That is an extreme competitive edge where you're not gonna beat them. It's just not gonna happen. But the Camp A versus the Camp B people, I think optimizing for Camp B and ensuring that you don't just ignore the process. Like, even though some days are going to require your best effort where you don't sleep all that much and you do pull all-nighters and you work as hard as you can and you really ignore everything, I think finding an oscillation between that and a really clean method of rest and reprieve is absolutely essential. Because if you think about it, most people do their best work when they're well slept, when they're focused correctly, when they've had... let's illustrate it this way, shall we? When do you get your best ideas? A, when you're not being distracted by the nightmare rectangle doom scrolling. B, right when you're about to go to bed. C, on the toilet when you're not on the nightmare rectangle. Or D, in the shower. That's when your best ideas come through. Solutions to problems that you've been facing for 3 months. Right there. While the hot water dances on your skin. If you have cold showers, you're an absolute psychopath. There's absolutely no need to be doing that. I don't care what benefits or what fitness influencer told you is good for you. I mean, it's hard mentally, but not really. When you think about it, it's not really. Oh no, I turned my shower inside my closed room that's completely safe from weather and chaos of outside and the environment to cold instead of warm, just so I could pretend to be uncomfortable for 3 minutes and then go back to my life of comfort in my recliner. It's just quite funny, isn't it? Fuck, I derailed myself talking about cold showers. Excellent. I was going somewhere with that. Apologies. Anyway, there was that's really going to annoy me. Maybe it'll come to me. Oh yeah, your best ideas come to you in the shower. The best ideas come to you right when you're about to go to sleep. And what do those things represent? Those things represent not knuckling down and forcing things out of yourself. It represents a little bit of rest, a little bit of oscillation, a little bit of space. These things are so important. So important. And you're at your best when you have frequent periods of this space. Since I spoke to you guys last, I do this funny thing where if I pay a good amount for something, then I will have to necessitate its use. Whereas if I buy something cheap, I'm not really going to use it. And so I bought these pretty expensive headphones, and I listen to piano music, no lyrics, no nothing. So it's just noise in the background, and put it on noise cancellation mode, so I can't hear anything except the music. And I've been juggling. And you might find that slightly strange. I think it fits the narrative that I'm highly autistic perfectly. So if you think it's strange, fuck off. But purely for a little bit of space during the day where I'm completely focused on where those fucking things are going. I'm not focused on what I had for lunch. I'm not focused on what I'm meant to do after this. I'm not focused on anything else for that 2 or 3 minute period, whichever how long the song lasts. And I'm just creating some space right before I dive into a lot of my work for the day, which is between training session 1 and training session 2. And training often gives you a lot of space too, because you're not constantly bombarding yourself with outside stimulus. It's a very intrinsic process. And I think that's why it's so captivating, at least for me. And I think the people that get worse results proportionately are the ones who only consider it an extrinsic process. And by that I mean they're always focused on outside things of themselves rather than how they're applying X technique, how they're focusing in the right areas, what sort of plan are they coming up with, what sort of direction would they like to be going in. They're always focused on, this guy's stronger than me, this guy's faster than me, this guy's this, this guy's this, this guy's this. This guy has long legs, this guy has short legs, fucking blah, blah, blah. You're going to find a litany of those things wherever you go. And it doesn't matter where you are, they will always be ever present. And this leads me back into the uncontrollables versus the controllables. The things you have control over are your actions. The things you can't control are your circumstances. So stop fucking worrying about your circumstances. Stop fucking worrying about the weather. Stop fucking worrying about your job and like all these things that are on your plate that you're getting stress from. That this person said this and they think this of me and they said this and blah, 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 blah. They have this opinion of the way that I do things. Who gives a fuck? That has got nothing to do with you and it's all circumstantial. All of it. Traffic is circumstantial. It has nothing to do with you. Plus, think about it like this. You're not in traffic. You are the traffic. Your car creates one piece of many hundreds of pieces of that problem that you're currently going through. So stop getting on your fucking high horse about it and start admitting that you're part of the issue. And also, secondarily to that, that it's circumstantial. So therefore, it doesn't fucking matter. It's none of your business. What can you do about it is the good question. Actionably, all you can do is either sit there and seethe and rage and stress and worry about how long it's going to take you to get to your required destination, or put some music on, listen to this podcast, listen to any other podcast, turn your car into a mobile library and learn some shit. Or sit in silence, create some undulation of space, or oscillation of space, I should say. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to continually reference these things. Give yourself the space to be able to recognize them. And discard any worry of circumstance. It does you absolutely no good. It helps you in zero ways. Also to a point where a lot of people will only act if they have the correct circumstances. I answered a question for a kid yesterday, and he said, sometimes I'm not really that motivated to go to training. I'm like, well, that's why you'll never win. Because you need motivation to go to training, which you don't. In your mind, the perfect circumstance, or rather the circumstances of me going to training, the prerequisite of that is I feel motivated. And I don't know about you guys, but take a little point of reflection here. When was the last time you felt deeply motivated to do something? I can remember 2 times in the last month. So if I was going off this kid's logic, then I would have only trained twice in the last month, which means I fucking suck. And there's absolutely no way I'm going to catch up to everybody else. And I'm already trying to get closer and closer and closer to, as a result of them training for many decades and me training for a fourth of that. But that's also out of my control, which is why I don't think about it. So many people ask me questions all the time. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm 22. Am I too old to start?" Yeah, if you think that, yeah, you are. Or you could get busy fucking starting and figuring it out for yourself, which means no, you're not. Because there's people who are doing the sport that are 45 years of age that are still killing it. Are they too old to do anything? No, because they've told themselves, no, I'm not too old to do anything. And so you start to get an understanding that there's people who focus on what they can actually do about a situation with their actions, and there's people who focus on their circumstances, and they just completely destroy any ability to actually use action. Unless they have the perfect setup of circumstances. Like, well, I'm only gonna do what I need to do if it's sunny and it's 23 degrees and it's this and it's that and it's this and it's that. And you're like, fuck, that must be exhausting, hey? It must be horrible because you only live in a world where everything has to be set up just right so that you can finally do something. But then you'll have all those circumstances line up perfectly and then you just won't feel like doing it and then you just won't do it. While the person who didn't even concern themselves with the fact that they didn't feel like doing what they needed to do has done it for 85 days in a row and is now 85 days better than you. And across decades, they are just leaps and bounds further along while you're worried about feeling right. It's not a very inspiring story. Imagine if Spider-Man was like, I don't feel like saving old mate today. Let's do it tomorrow. It's not very heroic, is it? Not that you should be aspiring to become Marvel characters because they've just been completely destroyed recently. The original version is quite good to watch, but whatever fucking slop they're putting out today in terms of movies is just awful. That's a conversation for another day that won't get the channel taken down. But yeah, you start to paint this picture that it really is about what can I actually do about it, and also allowing yourself to have some space to be able to figure that out as well. Don't just try and rush your way through things. Don't just try and grind your way through things. Don't just try and like put your head down and run through brick walls, because yeah, okay, it's an effective strategy for some things. Sometimes you just got to pull out all the stops and go for it. But most of the time there's a better way that you are being ignorant to because of the way you're choosing to do things, or because of the way that your perspective is, or you just don't have the experience to be able to delineate between what's worth your time and what's not worth your time. Business is a great tool to be able to distinguish that, because you start to realize the things that are furthering and advancing you, or the tasks rather, and then you realize the tasks that are just not. And usually that results in, answering support tickets or something like that if you're the founder of the company. And it's just, you reckon Jeffy B is answering support tickets from Amazon? No, he's absolutely not. He's focused on all of the things that he needs to be doing and making very difficult to make decisions and clearing his mind to be able to do that. And I spoke about this in a video I recorded during the week, I think. It's coming up in my mind. I'm pretty sure I either scripted it out or I filmed it this week. I always thought that it was kind of strange that Jeff Bezos and all these other tech billionaires and e-commerce guys and so on and so forth, they'd always wear the same outfit. And you've seen videos on it hundreds of times, or at least I have. And they're like, well, they're trying to reduce decision fatigue. And I'm like, I don't really feel fatigued in my decision making of what to wear today. And then you listen to some individuals that take 2 hours to get ready, that absolutely destroy themselves mentally because their outfit doesn't match the place that they're going. And what if somebody sees them in public and they're going to be, in some sort of unfavorable light and blah, 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 blah. You've all heard these stories before. And then you realize very intimately that they're fucking right. Wasting your time on figuring out what you're going to wear to some place while also kind of missing the point. I've never given a fuck about what my mates wear to a dinner or something like that. Like, sure, if they rock up shirtless, you're probably not going to come to the nice steak restaurant we booked because you got no shirt on, but that's a you problem, not a me problem. So even then I don't fucking care about it. But you start to get the idea that obsession over circumstances, which is what people will think, is a massive waste of time. And that's why these guys who are high-level decision makers, whether you like them or not, or whether you believe that they're good people or not, fucking whatever. Excuse me. They start to do these things and put these orders and processes in their life so they're not wasting time on very menial tasks. Dan Martell is one of these guys. He has a house manager. It's basically rich people speak for nanny. But they do all the washing, all the cleaning, all the stuff like that. And obviously he's worked extremely hard to be able to afford himself the opportunity to have somebody like this. But the level of depth and detail, he's telling a story where they... I forget what it was, but they had this ski trip coming up and they needed all the things from the other house or the storage or wherever it was. And the house manager had already decided that was the case. So she went and got it all and then brought it to the house ready to be taken on the plane and blah, 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 blah. And just having that out of your mind in terms of day-to-day things that you need to worry about and blah, blah, blah. Anything to do with your calendar is one of those things. Like, oh, what appointment do I have today? It just drains your focus. The nightmare rectangle, drains the fuck out of your focus because you're worried about what's happening in this country and you're worried about the existential crisis that's coming for us all, that has always been coming the entire time. This is where I got to this point recently. And I've been here a couple of times beforehand, but I'm reiterating it again now. The world is always ending. It's been ending since its inception. Whether you believe religion or Darwinism or whatever else, evolution, it's always been ending because there's some sort of bacterial overgrowth that's a threat to all life, and then evolution is going to stop because the ozone layer and fucking whatever else, climate change dorks, or there's some crisis going on between two neighboring countries that are pissed off at each other. It's been happening. It's been happening all throughout history. You look at all the wars that have ever happened, right the way through 2000s, the 1000s, the hundreds, the tens, and then you've got the inverse of that with BCE and everybody who wanted to take other people's shit. It's essentially what it is. Like, you've got shit that I want. I don't want you to have it because I want it. Fuck you. Let's fight to the death. Bring some swords. I'll bring my guys. You bring your guys, and we'll settle it out. It's actually fascinating reading through a lot of history and thinking about the tactical and psychological warfare side of things. Like, if you look into Vlad the Impaler, about how he used to pave the roads of bodies inside trees on the way to wherever he was at the time, just to scare his enemies away. It's pretty fucking brutal, obviously, but definitely riding a horse down a road where, mind you, his own people, not the enemy, his own people were sacrificed for this. I would want to turn around too, because if he's doing that to his own men, what is he going to do to us? And I'm not really interested. He got so good at it, by the way. This is turning a little bit of a U-turn in terms of the story of the podcast, but he got so good at it, by the way, he could put people there and not kill them. So they'd survive and they just endure. I don't know for how long at a time, but just consider that. Consider that the next time you think your fucking cold shower is hard, because it's not. I don't think anything that anybody does today is hard, to be fair. I mean, yeah, okay, dealing with a lot of mental stress and psychological stress is quite difficult, but you read these stories, you go back into the medieval periods, and you go back into all the famous battles and wars, and you go, we got it pretty easy. We really do. And again, this saying is undoubtedly true and ever present within today's society, that tough men make good times make weak men make shit times. Shit times make tough men, and then the cycle continues. And you think about it in terms of, especially within Australia, there used to be a lot of gritty, strong, powerful individuals that were in this country. And now there's like 1,000 of them left, maybe, probably even being generous in that regard. It's really fucking sad to see, actually, where you read a little bit about history and the willingness to defend what this place was, not is, was off the charts, because we had it really fucking good. We did. And although today isn't difficult, it's difficult for other reasons. It's not really that difficult, but it's difficult in other ways. But it certainly isn't the grind that, creating your own food and working long, long days with no ability to scale. Like, the work is not scalable whatsoever. And it's kind of not meant to be fair, because farmers back in the day, which a lot of people were, especially within Australia, you got to wake up at the crack of dawn, make sure all your animals are tended to, make sure all your fruits tended, all your vegetables, all your produce, and all that sort of stuff. And that is sun up to sun down, all day, every day. And you're the only one that can do it. So you just got to get on with it. And there's no whinging and complaining and annual leave and fucking sick days. You do it when you don't feel like doing it. You do it when you do feel like doing it. You're doing it when it's raining, when it's sunny, when it's... They were just focused on action. And I'm sure they fucking had a whinge about it sometimes, but it needed to be done. So it just got done. I was watching a comedian this morning, and real funny white, his whole joke is around like being a straight white man and how privileged he is as a result of that. It's so funny. Handsome straight white man is what he said in the joke. But he was talking about the fact that no one in his day and age, he's 47, no one in his day and age ever brought up the word mindfulness, because they didn't fucking need to, because most people were just doing it half of the time. I almost hit 2 people today crossing the road because they're glued to their fucking phone. And don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here on my high horse. Sometimes I'm watching a video while I'm standing in a line somewhere, and I just like accidentally move towards somebody, or maybe even bump into them, whatever. Usually pretty onto it. It's never like a touching thing, but sometimes you just do dumb shit while you're distracted by the old nightmare rectangle, and this just is what it is. But fuck, don't do it while you're crossing the road. Bad idea. And yeah, cars have safety technology in them nowadays, but there's going to be one little Uber Eats driver in a Honda Getz that just... Is it Honda Getz? No, Honda Jazz. Little Honda Jazz from 2004 that just Hyundai gets, I think. I don't fucking know. Anyway, no, this is a funny point. No one sits there and puts a poster of a Honda Jazz on their wall and goes, yeah, that's the dream. One day I'm going to get one of them. Yeah, nice. Like, GR Corollas are pretty cool, but we all know that as kids, especially, man, we were putting up Diablos and Countachs, and mine was always a F430 Spider, because the Ferraris are just sick. I don't know. You're either one or the other. You're either Lambo or Ferrari. And I think I would be more Ferrari for sure. In terms of the cars that I look at, where I'm like, I'd fucking drive that 10 out of 10. And then Lambos are cool. They look like jets, whatever, but They're aggressive. They got hard lines, but I don't know. There's something about Ferrari. Like an 812 Superfast Competizione. Wow, perfection. 3 million euros, yes. Or the Aperta's 3 million. Yes, I'm autistic. I know a lot about cars. The Aperta is like 3.1 million euros or pounds. One of the two. That's like 4 million US and then 800 million Australian because our currency fucking sucks. But anyway, one can dream, can they not? I don't even know if it's worth it at that point. You're going to spend a really nice house worth of money on a vehicle. But then again, you can always think about the point of you can sleep in a Ferrari or you can live in a Ferrari, but you can't drive a house. I don't know. And the way the narrative's going with doomsday arising, if you believe that, we might not have very long to live in these residences, so you may as fucking well. Why not? But anyway, that comedian's point is sticking with me a lot, because I think if we were less distracted, to have a little bit more undulation with our days. Huberman's got this protocol that nobody ever fucking listens to except him. 20 minutes of screen time. Every 20 minutes. Pick a spot 20 meters away, stare at it for 20 seconds. Helps with eye strain and helps with like some sort of signaling within your brain. I don't actually remember what it was specifically related to, but it helps you with focus and retention and all those sorts of things. And have I done it once? Nah. Should I probably do it? Yeah. Will I? Maybe. If I put alarms on my phone to remind me, yeah, sure. But I think the excuse me, I think the sentiment for that is quite profound, and that's kind of what I've adapted with the juggling and the headphones and stuff, and just actually having some time away from waking up, checking all your fucking emails from all the people that have sent you messages overnight because they live in different time zones, freaking out because there's some bullshit story on social media that's potentially world ending, cramming coffee and sugar into your throat because you're fatigued because you spent all night doing the same thing that you do in the morning, and going to a job fighting traffic, which you are part of, which we already discovered, working for a boss that absolutely sucks because they have no leadership qualities whatsoever. They've been there longer than you, and having a lunch break where you huff darts and drink more coffee, eat more sugar, fight off the urge of the 2 p.m. afternoon crash because you haven't recognized simple macronutrient balances. And nor should you, because that would be difficult. You hate difficult things. And you go home in the same traffic with all the same people that were going with you. Crash the fuck out, watch Netflix. And then before you go to bed, scroll Dangers of the Universe and then go to sleep. Yuck. Find the space, please. Find the space to do something creative. Find the space to learn a new skill, do something fun. My sister does crochet. She fucking loves it. I don't get it. I don't know. One of the old guys at the gym I used to train. I said, "What'd you get up to today?" And he goes, "Did some basket weaving." And that was always our joke. He never basket wove once, but that was his thing. He's like, "Yeah, basket weaving. It's fucking good. You should try it." I might see if I like it. But I think it'll give you so much more than just trying to like grind and crush and grind and crush. And it's so fucking exhausting. And it's only because, in my opinion, you're putting prize over process. I keep seeing, obviously I'm going to be a dad in September, having a girl. Can't fucking wait, by the way, for the slowing down of everything. Can't wait. Something I desperately need. Selfishly, that's what I'm looking forward to most. Obviously, the responsibility of growing a tiny human, or like nurturing a tiny human, I should say. My partner is growing the human. She does all the heavy lifting. I just get to deal with the fatigue and the crazy cravings. They are fucking ridiculous. Everybody who's had kids would understand that their partner goes completely crazy with eating. Like, what did she eat yesterday? She had a sandwich with maple syrup and like salt and vinegar chips or something on it. I just compiled this thing from the cupboard, and I was like, that is putrid. She goes, you know what? I only realized how disgusting that is after I sent you that text of what the ingredients were, but I still loved every minute of it. I'm like, okay. Okay, buddy. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to that aspect, but also the perspective shift of realizing what actually fucking matters. There will be people that try and throw you off your course, and for whatever reason, there's dickheads everywhere. They all exist in differing capacities all over the place. You're always going to meet them. There's always going to be people that you disagree with. There's always going to be people that you agree with and all that sort of thing. And I think none of that matters. It really doesn't. I'm already in a pretty good place regarding that, but I think it's going to just get exponentially better. And it's going to like crystallize that thought in my mind and also catalyze my acceleration towards that mode of thinking. And I've been speaking to a lot of parents about this actually, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be fucking sick. It's going to be hard. I've been saying this recently. It's going to be the most, what was it? The most beautiful burden of all time. Because it is. That's what it is. Like, you fucking have to raise this thing 24/7. Everything else gets put on hold essentially, or at least changed completely from what you were used to doing. But fuck, it's going to be sick. It's going to be the best. It's going to be the best. You watch videos of kids giggling when their dad's doing something stupid. Can't wait. Can't wait. Also, couldn't give less of a fuck about anything else that's not that. It really comes, like, you really start to, even in the thought process of it, I'm not even there yet, but even in the thought process of it, and speaking to my best mate who had my goddaughter in January, same thing. He's just reiterating all the same things that I intellectually know, but don't yet understand. I'll understand them through experience, because there's a difference between knowing and experiencing. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is that, the experience. On that as well, a little bit of a throwback. Let's see if you guys were paying attention. Boss that you fucking don't like, that has just been there longer than you. I was a fly on the wall for one of these experiences recently. And one of the guys goes, it's just hard repeating myself all the time, to a newer employee. And the thing is, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about for most of this episode, and I've gone on many tangents, but that's okay. You guys are used to that. Don't expect people to be at your level with way less experience than you. It's often our own expectations that make us upset, not actually what's happening in the situation, because it's your perspective and your inference that's completely different to theirs. And so why should they be doing it the way that you see it if they've not got the same experience as you? And I instantly heard that and then thought, your only assessment of that was that you'd like to complain about somebody like genuinely having a go, and disregarding the potential nervousness of like fucking things up in a new work environment and so on and so forth. And this is where most people don't understand the foundational qualities of leadership. And I think if you're a really good parent, you're a switched on parent, this kind of matches the two things together. You understand this fundamentally, and it's something I'm going to try very hard to impart. And my parents did a fucking horrible job of it. They were always tell, don't show. You should be doing this, you should be doing this, then did the opposite. And to kids, they're not retarded. They know. They can see you what you're doing. And they will only do what you show them, not what you tell them. It's just the way that it works. Just the way that it works. And so I think it's important, if you want to have leadership qualities, which everybody should aspire to have, even in your own very small personal capacity, maybe even just your family, or maybe you expand that to a team at work, or maybe you expand that to just your colleague that's your favorite. Not in terms of a hierarchical thing, but just having good leadership qualities means prioritizing show over tell. And if I was in the exact same situation that I was just a fly on the wall for, it's not a burden to teach somebody and show them how to do it, because then you won't have to be repeating yourself because you're only trying to tell them what to do. But if you show them and then you demonstrate and then you critique them, then they will be able to get to the place much faster, which will also make your job and your life significantly easier, which means it works for everybody's benefit, but it's just your unwillingness to get over your assumption and initial expectation that, well, this person should know how to do this. Yeah, but what if they don't? Okay, and yeah, you told them last week how to do it, but then you didn't follow up with it. There was no integration of that information, and they've got other shit going on and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, there's certain aspects of that has to be taken into account for the accountability of the person who did get told how to do it last week, but just not paying attention and blah, blah, blah. But at the same stage, like, especially in a workplace environment, this is why I fucking hated it so much and why I don't do it anymore. There has to be a leading from the front capacity. And that's the most important part. If you're just raining down orders, it's like some of the best restaurants I've ever been to and some of the best cafes I've ever been a part of in terms of their service. And it feels like that. So that's why I say that very deliberately. I've been a part of their service. I'm not just going there and being treated like a number. The bosses and the managers and the guys that are running the joint are there all the time. They've got boots on the ground. They're fucking doing the things. And they're not scared to pick up a mop. They're not scared to pick up a broom. They're not scared to do stock take. They're not scared to do any of this shit. I had a fucking fantastic boss. His name's Pej, Iranian fella. Persian, Iranian. You know. The Persians still call themselves Persians. So, you know, it is what it is. But fucking phenomenal guy. And he was an owner-operator, but he was there. He was doing all the shit. And he didn't tell me to do anything that he didn't expect of himself, or that he hadn't done 1,000 times already. And so I really enjoyed working for him because he was showing, not telling. And he'd get in there, he'd get his fucking elbows dirty, or his hands dirty. I don't know why he'd get elbows dirty, but he'd get his hands dirty with some elbow grease. I think that's what I was trying to say. And perform, and then show you that's how it's done. Like, I used to do it this way, and now I do it this way because it's 10 times faster, so much better. And this is what I really try to impart with my jiu-jitsu students as well. It's like, I'm not the arbiter or the oracle of information that everything I say is fucking right. I'm willing to be wrong, and I've been wrong many times. I posted with full confidence a video that was 100% incorrect. Even that word that I just said, incorrect, not incorrect, incorrect. And just went with it. Ah, well, fucked it up. It was wrong. Get over it. Learn, get better. And that's something you just got to be willing to have happen. And I don't try and have this like pedestalization of me just because I've done cool things. I was like, well, no, what's your interpretation? What do you think about this? And why do you think that that's important, that this is the solution? Like, of those solutions that you presented me, why do you think that that's important? Or why do you think that this is more correct than the other? And then, as it were, you're actually showing them, you're not telling them, and you're demonstrating it in a way where they actually come along for the ride, where they gain confidence in their ability to solve problems as well, so that you actually teach them to fish, not give them the fish. And that's an incredibly empowering journey, which fucking benefits everybody. A, it's a little bit less work for me. It's not, but it's a little bit less. But B, they come along for the ride and they get to learn properly, not just rote learn information and belt feed facts and figures and bullshit into their head that they're never going to use because they didn't work to earn it. It's the same conversation with the two gym owners downstairs of our gym. And we're talking about customers that ask for discounts and the fact that they're dickheads. People that ask for discounts are fucking just, you know. If you do that, please stop. It's just insulting. It really is. You put 10 years of your life into a business. Not that I have done this, but you put your 10 years of your life into a business and then they go, yeah, but could you do it for cheaper? It's not for you if you can't afford it. Go somewhere else. And then they get the shits that you tell them to fuck off nicely. But I always just say, I can double it if you want. And then they go, oh, no, the original would be good. And I'm like, it's not available for you anymore. It's double. And they go, oh, you can't do that. Well, I just did. You want to tell me my time's worth less than what you think it is, then you're not my type of customer. Sorry, go somewhere else. And when you have a proprietary product, they can't go somewhere else. So you win. Not that it's a matter of winning or losing, but you get the idea. They're just trying to diminish based on their own perspective. And they're not... Most people that are like that are always trying to nickel and dime things. And they're trying to look for the cheapest thing. And there's people are like that. Like, I empathize with some people's situation where they don't have a lot of expendable money and da-da-da. But it's also a choice. And if that triggers you, well then you haven't been creative enough to find a way out of it. Because there are so many opportunities all over the place that are just desperately wanting you to take them. And all it's going to take is a little bit of effort and some consistency, mostly consistency. But that just like the people do not want to be consistent. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think mainly because they're looking at prize over process, most likely. And that makes it horrendously hard to be consistent long term. I used to deal with this in personal training all the time. People would only put the prize as the most important thing. So they would destroy themselves in the process of losing weight via inconsistent means that they could absolutely not continue past their goal. So the goal is a self-fulfilling mechanism to go right back where you started, but now you're doubly pissed about where you are because you did lose 10 kilos. Now you're back to your original place. And you have the experience of not being there as well recently. And all of the crippling judgment from all the other people around you. They're like, oh, what happened? You were looking so good and da-da-da. The solve for that quite literally is consistency and not rushing. Don't rush. We got a lot of fake bullshit on the internet where everybody believes they've got to be in a certain place at 25 years old. And if you aren't a certain place at 25 years old, you're fucked. And it's just not true. When in history, aside from today, did anybody believe that being 25 years of age was, and having X or Y was the worst that you could possibly do for your existence? Like, if I told that to my grandparents, they'd fucking laugh at me. They think it would be hilarious. They're like, brother, we're in our 70s and we're still learning things. We're still going through things. We're still adapting and growing and changing. And every day's a brand new day. To assume that you're done for at 25 because you haven't done a certain thing by that time is fucking ridiculous. I would avoid it if I was you. Or don't take my advice and... yeah, don't listen to me because who the fuck am I to be giving advice? But anyway, Chris Williamson posted a Frankel's inverse law today. I thought this was quite interesting. I shared it to my story and I think it's worth bringing up. When a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Viktor Frankl. Frankl is arguing that a lack of meaning causes people to seek temporary relief in superficial pursuits rather than addressing the underlying existential void. Perhaps for many, maybe even most people, this is a big issue. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. But there is another group who suffer with the opposite problem, Frankel's inverse law. When you can't find a deep sense of pleasure, they distract themselves with meaning. And this is a very modern entanglement, specifically regarding the nightmare rectangle age, because you're meant to think that everything's about meaning and like what's the meaning that the girl that I want to talk to and crippled by anxiety at the thought process of doing so was wearing a blue shirt today instead of a red shirt? Like, come on, fuck, bro, seriously. If ease, grace, joy, and playfulness don't come easily to you, one solution is to ignore the moment-to-moment happiness entirely and just always pursue hard things. You become a world champion at winning the marshmallow test. If you don't know what the marshmallow test, it was kids given the marshmallows. They could either have one right now or they could wait a minute or 2 minutes to get two, and most of them took the first one. You can convince yourself that delayed gratification in perpetuity is noble because you struggle to feel gratified. The too long didn't read of this. You prioritize meaning over happiness because happiness doesn't come easily to you. The problem is that, as Bill Perkins says, delayed gratification in the extreme results in Delayed gratification in the extreme results in no gratification. You're always putting it off. Essentially, you're never giving yourself the undulation or the reward at the very end because you're all process rather than all prize. And then obviously everything in extremes is going to serve you rather poorly. If we are unduly absorbed in improving our lives, we may forget altogether to live them. My favorite philosopher, Alan Watts. From the outside, this looks like you've transcended the shallow need for pleasure, but in reality, it's just cope to avoid facing the fact that you struggle to feel joy. So instead, you perpetually promise yourself that happiness might finally come tomorrow. But like running towards the horizon, tomorrow never arrives. Congratulations, you've managed to subjugate your joy as a tribute to your work. Don't mistake humorless and fun-lacking seriousness with being sophisticated and caring about your pursuit. You look type A. You took type A advice for type B people and turned it into a religion. Thoreau says the price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it, and by this logic, many of us are paying into a bank account that we'll never withdraw from. Permanently winning the marshmallow test results in you never actually arriving at a moment where you cash in your efforts for rewards. In anticipation, this sounds like building up to something amazingly impressive moment, which will make all the pain worth it. But in retrospect, I get the sense that this will just feel like a series of miserable successes where you never stop to actually enjoy your time on the planet. You need to do at least a little bit of what you care about now, as opposed to banking on finding time for it in the future once the decks are clear and life's duties are out of the way. Life's duties are never out of the way. And so if you really mean it when you say you'd like to write a novel or spend more time with your aging parents or fighting climate change or having fun, at some point, you're just going to have to start doing it. Oliver Berkman. I completely agree. It's the same sentiment summed up quite nicely. Don't waste your 20s, 30s, and 40s in investment banking. It's a very specific example, but don't waste your 20s, 30s, and 40s in investment banking only to make millions in your 50s, then buy the Lamborghini that your back no longer supports you driving. That's my favorite way to say it. Also, don't go down into hedonism and buy things you can't afford and cripple yourself and find your way into unrecoverable debt so that you end up in an even worse place. But, you know, life is lived in the middle, not on the extremes. The barbelling effect. You got plates on each side, and then the middle part is the bar. You've got the extremes of only process and only prize, and both of them are going to kill you. They are. They're just going to kill your soul. It's like people who are only prize oriented end up drug addicts. People who are only process oriented end up fucking boring. It's the people that earn millions. And look, don't get me wrong. Everybody has different ways of enjoying their life. But it's the people that earn millions of dollars that are dudes that drive RAV4s that just honestly make me fucking sick. And sure, I'm a car guy. I get that some people aren't. I get that some people aren't watch people. I get that some people aren't jewelry people. Like, for me, jewelry's stupid, and I wouldn't buy it. I wear a chain, but like rings don't really, bracelets, whatever else. Maybe a watch is jewelry, and maybe I'm a hypocrite, but get over it. But I don't get like those fucking Van Queef bracelets. Yeah, I said queef, not cleef. Queef. Those stupid clover things that guys wear. There's like really dainty. It's gay. Come on, stop. Okay, maybe your cars aren't your thing, but Ramit Sethi has a phenomenal principle, and he goes, cut costs religiously against things that you like must have, like toilet paper, dishwashing liquid, all that sort of stuff. But also don't do that for the things you really enjoy. Spend lavishly on the things you really enjoy and make up the difference on the things that you don't. And so if you don't really like traveling, fly economy. If you do really like traveling, fly business. If you don't like cars, sure, drive a shitbox. If you do like cars, go and get a fucking 812 Superfast Competizione. That's just a message for me in the future. If you don't really value the taste of your coffee, drink fucking Nescafe instant disgusting whatever. If you do value the taste of it and you value human connection via the exchange of getting your chocolate bean juice that makes your brain go fast, go and buy it. It's not going to kill you. These people, Graham Stephan was one of these guys, and he was like, for ages, well, I make my coffee at home, and I'm superior as a result of that because I only spend $37 cents per serving, and I can have exponentially more for way less, and blah blah blah. And why did I start speaking like him? That's so funny. If you know who Graham Stephan is, he's some YouTube real estate guru fucking guy. Has a really cool podcast called the Iced Coffee Hour. But he always yaps on about how much money he saves based on making coffee at home and making meals at home. And he just fucking sounds depressed. And he has now bought a really nice silver Daytona. Congratulations. He got a Panda, which is a gorgeous watch. And I think he's starting to climb out of that because he realizes the frivolous nature of just doing things to be the most profit savvy or saving the most. Like, having the money to afford yourself nice things and then just still like coupon clipping is fucking gay. Don't do it. It's a trap. Spend well on the things you really enjoy. Don't go overboard. Trust me. Don't go overboard. Like, I don't buy clothes. I don't. I very, very rarely buy clothes. Either my partner gets it for me for my birthday or for Christmas or something like that, or the last time I bought clothes was, these are mine. I make these, so I didn't buy them. The last time I bought clothes was 2 mystery boxes from Frontrunner in like November Black Friday deals last year, where I got like 8 pieces of assorted things. I think I got like 6 t-shirts, a couple jumpers, and some long sleeves. And it's like $100. That was it. So I don't really give a fuck about clothes all that much. I honestly don't. But I fucking love going out for dinner. I will spend 5-6 times that in a heartbeat. But if I was buying a shirt every week, which I used to do when I was 16, I'd be spending the same amount of money as I do going to dinner. But for me, that's not worth it because I don't really care about it that much. My best mate, Zach, is a bit of a fashion nerd, and he spends stupid fucking money on clothes. I don't get it. I never will. But that's his thing. He fucking loves doing it. So do it. Go for it. Don't go crazy, but do it. Go for it. And I got another mate of mine who fucking loves cars, spends ridiculous amount of money on cars, but he's got it. And so the transaction, I got another mate of mine who's addicted to watches. Both those guys, if you said to them, would you rather the 70, 80, 100, 200, 250, 300 in your account, or would you rather wear it or drive it? Undoubtedly, both of them would say I'd drive it or I'd wear it. Because at the end of the day, what are you fucking stockpiling shit for anyway? So it can look good, so it can make you feel good? Fuck. Stupid. It doesn't. It literally doesn't change anything about your life. It really doesn't. Aside from like having less stress. But then you get bigger stresses from bigger problems of managing and dealing with all the surplus you have anyway. And I'm not trying to come off as ignorant to people's issues because I've been there. I fucking know what it's like. But the stress and the worry and the anxiety is just it's not worth it ever. Stop pretending that if just one thing in your life changed, everything would get better, because it doesn't exist. It really doesn't. A certain amount of responsibility at certain levels that you just have to get accustomed to. And it's not going to be this problem over here that you were used to dealing with for 10 years. It's going to be another whole set of other issues that you're going to be not used to dealing with for 10 years. So the game changes as you grow and get better and develop and exchange and turn into a different person, become more capable, more responsible. You become more of a leader and more of somebody who has direction and purpose and passion, all those sorts of things. And essentially what Chris Williamson's essay is talking about is the fact that you can go down 2 paths. You can go down the pleasure only route and the process only route, but then there has to be some of the middle. Like there's no point building $100 million enterprise if you fucking hate every step of the way. Because then even the money that you get from the exit in terms of the compensation won't fill the hole that you're trying to fill. Like a good mate of mine, Toby, just had another 9-figure evaluation, which is just outstanding. Fucking congratulations for him. Couldn't be happier. You know what the most important thing was to him? With that, most people would think that is it. Couldn't care less. I'm sure he cares, but the most important thing was the thing that he backed is actually genuinely making a difference in people's lives. That's what he gave a fuck about. And that's why he's there. It's true. I'll fight anyone that disagrees. Because it's just not like, rewards are powerful directions, but they lose their touch in terms of motivation. They do. And if you're doing something because the end result will motivate you enough to get there, you're gonna get lapped by people who don't see it that way, who just thoroughly enjoy what they're doing. The person who likes walking will walk far further than the person who's doing it for weight loss. Or some version of that statement. You get what I mean? And people ask me all the time, how'd you get so good at jiu-jitsu so quick? Because I fucking hated doing anything else that wasn't it. So I removed all the obstacles of the things that wasn't jiu-jitsu. Because I really love it. I really love the problem-solving aspect. I really love the planning and the structuring and I wonder if I pull this lever, what's going to happen? And then have it all blow up in your face. And you're like, ooh, didn't think that was going to happen. Let's reorganize and reshuffle and iterate and analyze and figure that part out. Because it was interesting. I don't want it to happen again, but I'm interested by it now. All right, let's have a look. And then you don't put in the right amount and it happens again. You're like, motherfucker. But it's fun. It's fun. Constant evolution of changing the way you think about things and molding your perspective and being constantly open to new ideas and taking things on face value and then realizing that they fucking suck and then stop taking things on face value and really diving into why and how of the way that those things work and then sharing that with other people and getting their perspectives and seeing them grow and change and make new perspectives of their own. And then they bring that back to you and you're like, wow, I never thought about it like that. How cool is that? It's the fucking best. It's the best. And all those qualities that I just spoke about exist in every single field. It's just that jiu-jitsu happened to be my thing. And it's really fucking cool. And I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. And everybody's like, oh yeah, like, is it worth it financially? I don't fucking care. I honestly don't. Like, I've done pretty fucking well for myself as a result of making a business around it. And selfishly, originally it was only so I could get out of the trap of not thinking about it all day, every day. Now I do, which is great. And other people get the benefit as a result of that because I've figured out how to solve problems in a very interesting and proprietary way that gets fucking really good results for people, which is great. That's what I care about. But that people that are asking those questions are never going to do it because they're worried about circumstances. Well, I'll do it if it's a sure thing. You're never going to go anywhere. I'll do it if it's worth it. Fuck off. Honestly, imagine anybody starting like the first TV show. They're like, oh, is it worth it? Well, it's completely unfound territory. How the fuck are you going to know if it's worth it or not? You only find out through doing. You only find out through actually stepping up to the plate and having a swing. That's all you do. You're never going to find out any other way. And okay, maybe if you're questioning those things, maybe it's not for you. Maybe you enjoy it, but it's not your thing. And that's okay. That's fine. Try another thing. Maybe you're stuck trying to force yourself into jiu-jitsu where Muay Thai is your thing. Maybe it's karate. I got a mate of mine, Connor, who was doing jiu-jitsu for a little bit. Then he was doing wrestling and he fucked up his elbow and he's like, oh, this wrestling thing's a bit shit. And then started Muay Thai, went to Thailand for a couple of months and did some camps. And now he's doing Muay Thai. Fucking sick. Loves it. Can't get enough of it. Well more than when he couldn't get enough of jiu-jitsu and he thought he couldn't get enough of that when we were doing it together. And I think obviously it was environment-based where all of us were together, we're all good mates, and then we're just bashing the shit out of each other. Fuck, they were the days. It was so much fun. So much fun. I had no idea what I was doing. I just loved every second of it. And now I have a good idea of what I'm doing. But I still love every second of it. It's the fucking best. For me, personally. Might not be for you. I dare say you really enjoy jiu-jitsu if you're listening to this show. Or maybe you just enjoy me talking about fucking conspiracy theories. But we'll get back into that eventually. Now that this is a separate channel, I think I'll get a little bit more spicy with it. If you guys want to see that, let me know. But anyway, always a pleasure. Never a chore. Hopefully, if you're an avid listener of the show on the previous channel, you will find this channel. I'm not really fussed if you don't, because it'll still be posted on Spotify anyway. And with that, goodbye.